Christian TV evangelicals fire up Trump support with messianic message. All right, and this is the picture. When was this picture from? This is from 2017, when the first year that Trump was in office. He had all these Christian pastors come to the White House, put their hands on him and pray, right? And we're going to get into this article, but that's really what we're getting into tonight. And that's how Trump likes to portray himself, as an ally to the Christians, all right? So here, yeah, this was today as well. It says, this is really a battle between good and evil. Evangelical TV preacher Hank Kunneman says of the slew of criminal charges facing Donald Trump. There's something on President Trump that the enemy fears. It's called the anointing. You see that right there? The Greek word for anointing or anointed is Christos. That's where we get the word Christ from. It's a Greek word that means anointed. All right. The Hebrew word for anointed is Messiah. All right. That's what they're saying here, that Trump is their Messiah. All right. The Nebraska pastor who was speaking on cable news show Flashpoint last summer is among several voices in Christian media pressing a message of biblical proportions. The 2024 presidential race is a fight for America's soul, and a persecuted Trump has God's protection. That's what they believe, that God is with Donald Trump, even after all the evil that Trump has done all throughout his life, and that he's paying for some of it now. They still think God is with this dude, all right? Even though this is one of the most proud men that we've ever even seen on television. And the television industry, the entertainment industry is full of prideful men. And yet the people have decided to back this guy. The people who claim to be followers of Christ decide to back this guy, all right? They're just trying to bankrupt him. They're trying to take everything he's got. They're trying to put him in prison. And see, the thing about that is, I mentioned how it's a reverse psychology thing. It's also a humiliation thing, where that's something they like to do from time to time. They like to humiliate the people that's in their in group to see if you're really gonna stick with them through good times and the bad, right? But this is also is kind of like a punishment because Trump, he didn't do all the presidential things when Biden was coming into office. Like, because even though Bush was not, endorsing Obama, he still did the presidential things. Like he like shook his hand on the way out. He went to the inauguration. He left him a letter in the Oval Office or whatever it is. Even though Obama was not endorsing Trump, he did the same thing. Went to the inauguration. He shook his hand, all that kind of stuff. He left him a letter. Trump did not do any of that stuff for Biden. And see, there's a specific way they want these men to act, because these men, these presidents, are not the ones who actually run the country. They're entertainers. They're put on a stage in front of people to make people feel safe. They're sent out there to speak to people to make people feel safe. They're not the ones who's actually running things. They have a code and rules and standards that they have to abide by as well. And Trump did not abide by those things, so they don't like him for that. All right, and they still deal with him. But he has to go through all his punishment. Like, this is like his timeout. All right, he's going through all these court cases. That's like his, grounding, essentially. All right. They're trying to put him in prison. Author, media personality, and self-proclaimed prophet Lance Wallnau said in October on the Jim Bakker Show, an hour-long daily broadcast that focuses on news and revelations about the end times that it says we are living in. And we are living in the last days. All right, understand that thing. But we've been living in the last days since Christ stepped on the scene. All right. Look at this right here. This is what Wallnau said. The hand of God is on him and he cannot be stopped. You see that right there? So they believe that Trump is like their Messiah. That's what they believe. All right. Now, I want to touch a little bit on this Lance Wallnau guy. All right. This is a Rolling Stone article from a couple years ago. It said he has a 7-point plan for a Christian takeover and wants Doug Mastriano to lead the charge. So Doug Mastriano is a failed politician from Pennsylvania, I believe. Jesus was promised nations for his inheritance. Lance Wallnau, a self-described Christian nationalist prophet, not just churches, right? So this is the pride of a guy like this, where just because Christ was promised nations for his inheritance, he thinks he should take that as well. He thinks he should have nations just because Christ was promised to rule over the nations. It said Lance Wallnau, a self-styled prophet, right? A self-proclaimed prophet. He calls himself a prophet. And one of America's most strident Christian nationalists, and Doug Mastriano, the GOP candidate who cast his bid for governor of Pennsylvania, as a mission from God, are birds of a feather, right? So where in the scriptures, or I suppose they may say these are the type of same type of people who will be like, oh, God came down and spoke to me personally. But where does it say in the scriptures to run for office in America? Where does it say that? Where does it say run for senator? None of the apostles were senators. In fact, Paul held a position within the state of Judea. He was a Pharisee. He dropped all that for Christ. He left all that to serve Christ. All right. They each fired up the faithful at the Jericho March, Let the Church Roar event in Washington, D.C. in December 2020. A Christian protest seeking divine intervention to keep Donald Trump in office. And you see how that worked out. All them Christians went down to Washington in December 2020. And praying to God, please keep Donald Trump in office. And look what happened. He ain't in office. All right. And both men were on the ground in Washington a few weeks later on January 6th. Each billed as speakers at the Stop the Steal's wild protest event in the shadow of the Capitol. The speeches were preempted by their insurrection that overran the halls of Congress. You see that right there? So both these guys were down there for that January 6th stuff. All right. That quote unquote attempted coup. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to get into that. But it said, so it's little surprise that the pair flocked together in mid-September when Wallnau landed in Pennsylvania to stump for Mastriano at a rally in the candidate's hometown near Gettysburg. Wallnau believes that America should be a theocracy, declaring unequivocally in a 2021 online rant, I am a Christian nationalist. But in his stump speech for Mastriano, Wallnau used more coded language. He turned to local history to hype up the GOP candidate, comparing him to the Christian colonel who led a desperate bayonet charge to victory down from Little Round Top. All right, so when he says he believes that America should be a theocracy, that means he wants people to serve God the way that he sees fit. All right, not that, oh, if anybody serves God, they're all right. No, he's talking about stripping away freedoms to serve God the way God really wants to be intended and enforcing Christianity on the masses. All right. It said Wallnau insisted that Mastriano, a former Army officer, is also poised to change history. Now there's another Christian colonel who's in charge of the mountain, referring to Mastriano's followers as a remnant, a biblical term favored by fundamentalists to recognize fellow hardcore believers, right? So they're talking about the remnant of the children of Israel, but of course these Christian nationalists using it as a way to say, oh, a remnant of Christ followers, because it's only a small number of y'all who actually listen to what I say. All right. Wallnau exhorted them to hold the line against the enemy. They may outgather, they may outmaneuver. In my opinion, they know how to out-cheat. Wallnau said of Democrats, but they cannot outflank us if we move as one. Look, notice how he said out-cheat, meaning we cheating too. They're just doing it better than us. That's what out-cheat means. He didn't say, in my opinion, they're cheating. He said they're out-cheating us. That's a direct quote. All right. Casting the Republicans' mission as guided by the hand of God. And see, that's what they like to do. And it goes back to this article where it said, oh, this is a battle between good and evil. That's what the Republicans like to do. They like to pose themselves as the righteous while pinning the Democrats as the evil, right? And the Democrats do the same thing, except they don't use those words. They use the Republicans, they're fascist, they're Nazis, and we are the the leftist or the empathetic, right? They may use terms like that, but it's the same thing. It's two sides of the same coin. That's what y'all need to realize. This politics stuff is just a game. It's red team versus blue team. That's what it is. All right, it's the let's pick sports. Like, it's the Denver Nuggets versus the Miami Heat. Red team versus blue team. I mean, that's all it is. That's all it is. It's just on a different stage in a different arena. That's all it is. It's nothing. Like a boxing has the red corner and the blue corner. That's what this is. That's all it is. That's why it's a two-party system here in America, because it's the same as those games. All right. Casting the Republicans' mission as guided by the hand of God, Colonel Mastriano is anointed to lead. You see that right there? They love throwing that term anointed around. They said, look, Mastriano, he's a Christ too. That's what this Wallnau guy said. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. I don't care either. Wallnau then insisted the whole country will be affected by what happens in Pennsylvania. All right. So we're not going to get into all this, but he wrote a book with, let's see if it says the other guy's name, with a Bill somebody. I don't see it. We'll get into these next couple paragraphs, and then we'll jump back over to the other article, and then we'll get into some scriptures. All right. It says, Wallnau has been dubbed the father of American dominionism, a fundamentalist ideology. Rightfully said it's idolatry, which it is. It said that Christians are called upon to exert God's will on earth as it is in heaven. So forget all that stuff about Christ being peaceful and dying for the people and telling the apostles to become martyrs. Yeah, forget all that. No, we're going to forcefully take over the world. That's exactly what he's talking about here. American dominionism. All right. And the 66-year-old strives to empower a cabal of Christians to impose their moral code on the rest of us. Mastriano's association with Wallnau, which is deeper than previously reported, adds troubling new evidence of the candidate's own Christian nationalist aims, right, to support and possibly even fund politicians who will enact policies that he wants them to. All right. And roots Mastriano even more plainly within an end times religious movement known as the New Apostolic Reformation. The Seven Mountains. See, the Seven Mountains is an interesting term. It's pretty revealing as to what this actually is. The Seven Mountains. Wallnau is a leading figure in the New Apostolic Reformation, or NAR, whose followers believe that we are living in an age of new apostles and prophets who receive direct revelations from God. So not reading the scriptures and these men have understanding and how to apply the Bible. No, God told me. God showed me. Anybody who's talking about, oh, I seen, or God showed me, or an angel come down, don't believe that. That's BS. That's obviously not what actually happened. All right. God is not dealing with men in this wicked generation. He just isn't. And especially if you see men that ain't got no fringes on, they ain't got no beard, they ain't talking about keeping a Passover, they talking about keeping Christmas. God is not dealing with them at all. All right. Talking about you can eat whatever you want, you ain't got to do what God said to do. All that's BS. All that's lies. All right. NAR believers hold that the second coming of Jesus is fast approaching, which it is. It is. And that it is the destiny of Christians to accelerate the end times by exerting dominion over the world. You see that right there? They want control of the world. They want to take over the world. Wallnau is best known for popularizing a quasi-biblical blueprint for theocracy called the Seven Mountains Mandate. All right. And we're not going to get into all that. Just understand that it's called Seven Mountains, and we'll deal with that here in a minute. NAR followers like Wall now believe that America is specifically anointed by God to project Christianity across the globe. And the NAR movement's followers view foes of their quest as satanic. Right? So, if you don't want to do everything that we say to do, you're the devil. That's what they do. This is not metaphorical. They hold that the physical world is enveloped by a supernatural dimension, which it is. All right, there are things unseen, featuring warring angels and demons, and are convinced that demons afflict their enemies on behalf of the devil. And see, the thing is about demons and devils, they all listen to God. All right. When Christ was on the scene and he said, "Hey, devil, be removed from that woman," the devil listened. All right. The demon listened and got out of there. All right. Demons are afraid of God. When God speaks, the demon goes wherever God tells him. Either God will tell a demon to possess a person if that person is being evil, or God will say, "Get off that person," and the demon has to leave. That's what people think, that like the spiritual world is just chaos. It's not. God controls everything. All right. But anyway, they the ones that's the real demons. They talking about, we the angels and everybody's against us is demons. Nah, man. These guys, Christ said you shall know them by their fruits. If they ain't keeping the commandments, they demons. All right, straight up. The movement holds that these spiritual battles are reflected in earthly politics. As the late NAR founder, C. Peter Wagner, explained in a striking NPR interview in 2011, "I believe there's a lot of demonic control over Congress that needs to be dispersed." And yeah, there are a lot of demons in Congress. But guess what? There's a lot of demons in these churches too. He ain't gonna tell you that part. In the world, according to Wall now, the MAGA movement is guided by Jesus against devilish Democrats. And again, that's what the Republicans will say. "Oh, we're the party of Christ and the Democrats are the demons," right? But then the Democrats, the Democrats, are going to tell you that the Republicans, "Oh, well, they're the fascists, they're the Nazis, and we're the ones that's actually good people." It's two sides of the same coin, man. Wall now spent years insisting Trump was an instrument of the Lord, even declaring that fighting with Trump is fighting with God. You see that right there? That tells you right there. They view him as Christ. They view Trump as God. By contrast, as documented by Right Wing Watch, Wall now insists that Antichrist Biden is an illegal counterfeit and an evil ruler. All right, I'm not going to deny that he's an evil ruler. All right, that's true. But Trump is no different. Trump is an evil ruler as well. They're both evil. They're both wicked. Environmentalists who seek to limit fossil fuel extraction are under control of demons. Yeah, if you don't destroy the earth further, you must be demonically possessed. How does that make any sense? Americans who defend the rights of the LGBTQ community are the trans-Taliban. That's pretty catchy, but that's a bit extreme. In a recent speech, Wall now denounced Black Lives Matter as witchcraft that is laying siege to the American system of government. All right. And he's going to say that BLM is witchcraft, laying siege to the American system of government, when Washington, D.C. is built on a pentagram. The roads literally map out a pentagram. That's why they put a pentagon in the center of it, because the middle of a pentagram is a pentagon. All right. But see, of course, they ain't gonna tell you about that. It says the 7 mountains in the mandate Wall now promotes represent the cultural domains of religion, family, education, media, entertainment, business, and government. See, that's their 7 mountains. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. That's their 7 mountains. They said, "Oh, we called it 7 mountains because of this." But I'm going to show you where the 7 mountains actually came from. All right. Let's deal with that real quick. In Revelation 17. I just want to deal with the 7 mountains real quick, then we'll get back to the other article. I'm done with the Rolling Stone article. We already went too much into it, if you ask me. So check this out. Check this out right here. Yes. let's start with in Revelation 17. Let's start with verse 4. Actually, no, let's start with verse 3. Revelation 17 and verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, a red beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. All right, this is the same beast that you read about in Revelation 13 and Revelation 12. All right, this is talking about all the Edomite colonial empires, which later became European countries, aka the 10 common markets. That's what this is talking about. All right. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, meaning royal color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication. Right, the wickedness of America. All right. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Babylon the Great is America. It's a mystery because a lot of America's wickedness, they try to hide it. They don't portray it in the media. All right. The mother of harlots because America pushes wickedness on the rest of the world. And if you don't comply with the wickedness of America, you get sanctions. Or you get war. One of the two. If they can't go to war with you the way they want to, they'll put sanctions on you. But if you're a weaker country that can't withstand the force of America, they will go to war with you. All right? That's how America has always functioned, at least since post-World War II. All right? So the 7 mountains. Let's get this real quick. Verse 9, let's jump it down. Verse 9. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, all right, on which the woman sitteth. All right. So mountains, let's go literal. All right. Physically, 7 mountains. Rome was founded upon 7 hills. And it's not the same as mountains, but if you're talking physical landmass, Rome was established on 7 hills. All right. But this mountain that it's talking about here is talking about government. A high mountain in the scriptures, a high, exalted, a powerful government. All right. So that's what it's talking about here, on which the woman sitteth. Right. The beast is actually 7 governments, these 7 mountains that the guy talks about. He's saying we are the devil. That's what he's saying. He's saying we are the beast. When he said, I got my 7 mountain proclamation, even if he doesn't realize it, that's what he's saying. That's what the spirit in him is saying. We are the beast. That's old Lance Wallnau for you. Admitting either intentionally or subliminally that he is the beast. All right. And we're done with Revelation 17. Let's finish out or read further down in this article. I don't even want to necessarily finish it. In both the 2016 and 2020 elections, evangelical voters staunchly supported Trump despite claims of adultery and sexual misconduct, which he denied. You see that right there? So even the people writing this Reuters article is like, look, I don't understand why the Christians are backing Trump. He's the epitome of sinfulness, of wickedness. With Trump now facing dozens of criminal charges as he pursues a second term, some Christian media are bolstering his support by portraying him as an instrument of God's will who faces persecution by his foes. You see that right there? And all that is by design. All right. All the coverage that CNN is giving him, that NBC is giving him, and all these liberal media outlets, they don't actually want Trump to lose. They want him to win because Trump equals ratings, and ratings equal money from advertisers. All right. So even these liberal outlets, it's all part of the same game. All right. The president is just the guy, is just the puppet, is just the face. Even if it is Trump or Biden, like it's no difference. The country is headed in a particular direction, and if it's Republican or Democrat in office, it doesn't matter. The country is still headed in that same direction because the presidents don't run this country. All right. It said while the people making these claims are largely outside the mainstream and Christian media, they have amassed significant online followings, and their messages reverberate across radio shows, cable TV, and streaming platforms that reach millions of Americans every day. All right. So it said that, not all Christians are not all Christians are making these claims, but the overwhelming majority of people who proclaim to be Christians in this country vote Republican and will vote for Trump. All right. Even if they're not all making the claims, they're all standing by in other terms. All right. The claims that Trump benefits from divine help present a jarring counterpoint to the views voiced by his critics, who denounce him as an immoral grifter set on dismantling democracy and point to his inflammatory rhetoric about immigrants in the country illegally and opponents he has threatened to prosecute. Right. So people will try to talk sense into these MAGA people and be like, look at all this, what he said and done. That shows you that he's not a true follower of Christ. But they don't listen. They don't care. All right. Yeah, we're not going to get into the rest of this because it just talks about all the charges that Trump is facing. I don't necessarily care about that. I will jump down to this because this is pretty telling. It says many conservative Christians had long relied on Christian media to champion political causes tied to their faith, like anti-communism and anti-abortion. But what's new about this election cycle is the unabashed support for Trump and the frequency he is depicted as God's chosen leader, said Brian Calfano, a political science and journalism professor at the University of Cincinnati, who has researched the proliferation of media-savvy ministers who support Trump. Before Trump, there was some hero worship of favored politicians, but the larger philosophical or ideological causes received greater attention, right? So before Trump, they wouldn't look at one political figure as like a messiah type, but now they are. Now they pick Trump as their guy, all right? Said language that casts Trump in messianic terms helps to energize his base, said Paul Jupe, a political scientist at Denison University who specializes in religion and politics. All right. So yeah, man, they're trying to boost Trump up as their messiah type figure. All right. So let's get a little bit on this. Let's go Revelation 13. Yeah, I keep saying it's two sides of the same coin, and it truly is. All right. Two horns on the same beast. I'll put it like that. In Revelation 13, starting with verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. See, that's why it's a two-party system. All right. The two horns like a lamb, meaning America presents itself to be peaceful. Again, that's why it's called Mystery Babylon the Great. America presents itself as, oh, we just want peace. We just want democracy. It says, and he spake as a dragon, meaning in his policy, he's the devil. All right. He tries to appear to be Christ-like, but in his policy, he's the devil. All right. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Right. So America persists in the Greco-Roman calendar, the first beast, right? The European empires. All right. It persists in Greco-Roman ideas. The sports culture that is so prevalent in America came from ancient Greece. All right. The Greco-Roman architecture and the what are those called? Like Supreme Court buildings and the White House, and those buildings in DC, right? Capitol, all that stuff. Congress, whatever the Congress Hall is. And he doth great wonders, so that he make fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. When did that happen? 1945. All right. America dropped the bombs. I think it's the fat man and the little boy dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, caused the fire to come down from heaven so that everybody could see it. Everybody saw what happened to Japan, destroyed because of those bombs. All right. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, what's called a miracle of modern science. They said it all the time in the medical field. They said it all the time in the tech industry. All right. Which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Excuse me. Saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. All right. They got the drawings of white Jesus. All right. When the Bible describes him as a black man with white woolly hair in Revelation 1 and Daniel 10. If you believe the Bible, that's what you should believe. But instead, everybody who claims to be a Christian and their grandmama has a picture of white Jesus hanging in their house somewhere. All right. That's the image of the beast. All right. And verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak. All right, so give life to the image of the beast. Caesar Borgia is the name of the actual guy who, white Jesus, who was turned into white Jesus by Leonardo da Vinci and the like. It was an actual dude named Caesar Borgia. All right, and they cause this image to speak by getting actors to portray Jesus in movies that look like Caesar Borgia. All right, that's how they cause, and TV shows, TV series, I suppose, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And that's exactly what they did to the slaves and the indigenous over here in the West, the so-called Native Americans, the so-called blacks, both kingdoms, the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. All right. They said, look, worship white Jesus or you're going to die. And some people said, I'd rather die. Some people said, okay, I'll worship white Jesus. All right. And that's where a lot of these Latino Catholics and Black Baptists and all these Christians in America came from. All right. In the Americas, I should say, because it wasn't just the United States. It was all over. All right. So from there, let's go to, again, on the two horns, Isaiah, we'll stay in Isaiah 32. Isaiah 32, let's start with verse 5. This talks about the two horns. This talks about the two parties in America. It says, the vile person shall be no more called liberal, right? So the people who call themselves liberal today are vile, meaning wicked. That's what vile means, disgusting. Nor the churl said to be bountiful, the rude, right? So you have the liberals who are kind of nice, but secretly, or they speak kind of nice, speak empathetic. Secretly, they are vile. And you have the churl, meaning the people who are rude in their speech, who tell it like it is, quote unquote, conservatives, said to be bountiful, right? They're said to be conservative. They're fiscally conservative, economically conservative, all right? Bountiful. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against the Lord. You see that right there? To make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. You see that right there? So the vile person, their villainy will be exposed. That's why through Biden's presidency, people are like, even people who voted for Biden are like, man, this has not turned out the way that I had hoped, right? The country is still falling apart. I thought this was going to change things. It's still going to hell in a handbasket, all right? The instruments also of the churl are evil. You see that right there? So it doesn't matter which side you vote for. It's both evil. whether it's the liberal, who are actually vile, or the churl, who claim to be bountiful or conservative. All right, they're both evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words. Right? That's Reagan talking about welfare queens. That's lying words. There ain't nobody living off welfare. There ain't nobody living a good life off welfare. That ain't no money. Even when the needy speaketh right. They said, look, we're just trying to get assistance from the government. We're poor. We need help. They said, no, you welfare queens. You ain't right. You ain't speaking right. Even though they're just trying to live. All right. So from there, let's go to, I wanted to touch on Revelation 16 just a little bit. We'll read that. We'll read that last, because in Matthew 24, Christ spoke on this just a little bit. Just a little bit. In Matthew 24, Christ speaks on things that would happen from his death and resurrection all the way to where we are today and beyond. All right. 24, Matthew 24, I'm going to start with verse 4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. All right, so keep that in mind. Don't let anybody trick you. Don't let anyone deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, or I am anointed, or I am Christian. All right. And shall deceive many. You see that right there? So many have come in Christ's name. Many have come and said, look, I am a follower of Jesus Christ. Look, I am of God. I am of Christ. I serve Jesus Christ. That's one thing Christianity is very good at doing, is serving God in word. Not so great at serving him in deed, in actions, but they're great at saying praise Jesus. All right. They're great at coming in Christ's name and deceiving many. All right. So I'm going to jump down to verse 24. Let me put this at the top. There we go. Verse 24. For there shall arise false Christs. You see that right there? So not only is that white Jesus, right? That's a false Christ. That's not in the Bible. But also that is, they said Trump is anointed. That's a false Christ. He's not anointed by God. He's just like all the rest of them. All right. There's a clip that NBC loves playing. They don't show the full clip, but they love to show a clip of Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. All right. There's a photo at that party of the clip that they love showing. There's a photo taken at that party where Trump is with Epstein and both the Clintons, because they're all in on it together. All right. They're all evil together. They go to the same wicked parties. Used to be at Epstein's place. Now they probably got a new guy doing it. All right. Said false Christ and false prophets. That's your Lance Wallnau. That's a false prophet. And shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So Christ said, even if they do miracles, even if they do wonderful things, don't follow after these people. All right. They will deceive you. Take heed that no man deceive you. All right. So from there, let's get Revelation 16. I don't even want to get to this yet, because we're talking about conservative and the rich. Let's see what James said about the rich. I've been saying all night that the presidents are not the ones who actually run this country. All right. It's the rich who run this country. It's the powerful who run this country. It's the, some people say billionaires. Some people say capitalists. It's all that. All right. It's the wicked. The wicked run this country. But they're rich. They do heap unto themselves many riches. All right. James 5, I'm going to start with 1. And some of the people who make themselves rich do it by having mega churches. All right. So keep that in mind. The mega churches of the people who take the 10% of the check, who, you know, passing the plate around. This is what James said to them. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. James said, look, you're going to be punished for all that's going to happen to you. You're going to be punished for all that you've been doing. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth eaten. He said, look, your money's not going to be able to save you. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. He said, look, your riches are going to be the death of you. All right. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. All right. So keep that in mind. Everybody is investing something for the last days. All right. For those rich and those that's chasing the dollar, those who chasing the bag, you're heaping up physical, carnal riches for the last days. But those of you who sincerely follow after Christ and do the things he said to do, and do and teach the least commandments, you're heaping up spiritual riches that cannot rust away. All right. But everybody's heaping up something for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. You see that right there? So that's saying right there that the billionaires aren't paying the wages owed to their laborers. That's what that's saying. You're not paying your laborers what they need to be paid. All right. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. And that Sabaoth means hosts or armies. He is the Lord of armies. He has heavenly armies. All right. That will fight for his people. Ye have lived in pleasure on earth and been wanton. Wanton means you just do whatever you want to do. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. You see that right there? So there's a lot of things that even we don't know about, that God knows about them killing the just. They do this in many ways, whether it be through policy or whether it be literal. All right. They have people killed because of leaking certain information. I know that there was a Boeing, the airplane company, recently, after a whistleblower testified against Boeing, this guy mysteriously just ended up dead. I mean, we don't know how it happened. We don't know if there was foul play involved. You know, we don't know. But it's odd that these whistleblowers of these large corporations just somehow end up dead. Huh. It's crazy. Whistleblowers on like CIA and all that, all these mysterious organizations, just the whistleblowers just end up dead somehow. That's pretty crazy, huh? That's a weird coincidence. They killed the just. And he doth not resist you, meaning God's going to visit you. He's going to judge you. Understand that thing. Believe that thing. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So let's read Revelation 16. We'll go ahead and read this. Not the whole chapter. I just want to get to the point because it's going to tie everything up nicely with what we read at the first and what we've been reading here. Revelation 16. Oh, yes. Before we get there, and see, I keep wanting to go back to it, but I keep thinking of other scriptures that I want to bring out. With Isaiah 47. This actually goes back into Babylon. Isaiah 47. Notice the words that he uses here. This ain't talking about the Babylon that existed of old. All right. This is a different Babylon. Because it says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. So this ain't talking about Babylon. This is the offspring of Babylon. And see, America is called Babylon because the Christmas and Easter that we celebrate, and a lot of the customs that we celebrate here in America, come from Babylonian customs. Christmas is not the birth of Christ. It never says in the Bible that Christ was born on December 25th. That is a winter solstice festival. That's what that is. All right. which started in ancient Babylon. Easter. Where does the name Easter come from? What does the word Easter mean? It comes from the Babylonian fertility goddess Ishtar. Once you transliterate that through Greek and then English, it becomes Easter. All right. That's why Easter is celebrated with a bunny and eggs. What does that have to do with Christ? What do a bunny and eggs have to do with Christ? Not a singular thing. But you know what bunnies and eggs are symbols of? Fertility. Like the Babylonian goddess of fertility, Ishtar, or Easter. All right? All this is just right in front of our faces, and we never even realize it. We never even question the things that we are presented. All right? It said, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." God said, look, there is no more kingdom. It's destroyed. Because God here exists outside of time. He can see what's going to happen to America already before it even happened. We're living through it. He's already seen what's going to happen. He said there's no throne. There's no more kingdom. There's no more America. All right. So I'm going to jump down and to verse 4, actually. "As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts," that goes back to the Lord of Sabaoth, "is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms." You're not going to be held in such prominence among the nations anymore. "I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thy hand." You see that right there? America has the Israelites here captive. All right. It goes back to both kingdoms, so-called Native Americans and Latinos being the northern kingdom, so-called blacks being the southern kingdom. All right. We are the Israelites. "Thou didst show them no mercy." Show no mercy. Just hatred, a perpetual hatred, as another scripture say. "Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke." And see, they're trying to do that now. They said, 65, that's too young for a retirement age. They're trying to bump it up to 70 now. All right. That's what they're trying to do through their policy. Nikki Haley, running for president, said that, 65 shouldn't be the retirement age anymore. It should be bumped up. They're trying to keep the yoke on the older, elderly people. All right. On the ancient. "And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever." America thinks it's going to last forever. "So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it." So all the wickedness, we've touched on the CIA before. We've touched on the FBI before. All the wickedness that they've done, not only to the American people, but worldwide. They think they can just do it and get away with it. But God is watching. He's taking note. He's marking down everything that they've done. And everything that they've done, they're going to get a judgment for it, a punishment for it. "Therefore, hear now this. Thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am and none else beside me." Right? America thinks that they're the only powerful nation on the planet. But guess what? Russia and China don't think so. "I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children." See, America thinks, nobody's ever going to invade America. "But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day." It said in a specific moment, on a specific day. "The loss of children and widowhood," meaning everybody's dying. Everybody's dying in one day. "They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries." You see that right there? The witchcraft that, what's his name? Wall now tried to attribute to BLM. America has been in witchcraft from the beginning. All right. Why do you think it's called a TV channel? It's called a television. If you watch a particular show on it, it's called a program. All this is witchcraft. It's all witchcraft. "And for the great abundance of thine enchantments." So God said, look, I'm tired of the witchcraft you've been doing. All right. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. So America thinks just because we, have information at our fingertips, just because we, got Google, just because we have the technology that we have, that nothing can happen to us, that nothing can happen to America, to the wicked. I don't want to associate myself with them. I'm trying to be righteous. All right. He said, your wisdom and knowledge has perverted you. And thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Right? So America thinks they are God. That's why you have people like Wall now saying, trust or side with Trump and you side with God, because they think of themselves as God. All right. That's why they painted white Jesus in the first place. And that wasn't specifically America, but that was Esau. That was the devil as well. All right. I don't even want to get Revelation 16 yet. We'll end with that. Oh, I didn't click out all that. Come on now. I'm done with this article, though. I can get rid of that. On Revelation 18, because Revelation 18, excuse me, Revelation 18 goes hand in hand with Isaiah 47. They both talk about the same thing, the fall of America. Revelation 18. I want to read, well, I'll start with one, I guess. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. All right, so let's talk about the fall of America, the destruction of America. Babylon the Great is fallen, For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Right, so that goes into all the different policies that America implements on the other nations. We talked about it earlier. If you don't follow American policies, you either get sanctions if they can't go to war with you, or you get war. All right. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, right? You have the Saudi prince establishing business ties with all these American, especially entertainment industries, all right, but also all types of American business like oil businesses and things like that. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Businessmen, corporate entities, corporations are waxed rich through American business. All right, they come here to America to do business. And America will fly them out somewhere on vacation where they have a meeting. And then from there, they'll agree to sign a contract to do business. All right. Verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. You see that right there? So God said, come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and receive not of her plague. So he's not saying physically come out. For some people, if you want to leave, then you can leave, right? But not for everyone. Not everybody can leave. What you can do, you can leave off from sin. All right? You can separate from the sin of America. You can be different than the people who live here, than the people who just do what they want to do. All right? That's not what God said. God said the Holy Spirit is that of discipline. All right. And we was talking about last week how to make your calling and election sure. It all goes back to keeping the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus Christ. All right. So I do want to touch on where is the part that said what we read about a moment and a day. Yes. We'll pick up. Well, actually, we'll keep reading in verse 5. All right. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. You see that right there? So God said, not only am I going to punish you for everything you've done, I'm going to give you double for everything you've done. And the destruction of America will be unlike anything that we've ever seen before. All right. And the cup which she has filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. And see, that's what we was reading in Isaiah 47, the pride of America. Like, people love to say, I'm proud to be an American. Well, at least I know I'm free. The pride of America. All right, think nothing can happen, or they think God is with us. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day. You see that right there? So we saw in Isaiah, specifically, it's one moment. Revelation says the same thing, in one day. In one day it's going to happen. Everybody's going to be going about their day thinking nothing's going to go wrong. Then boom, you get that alert on everything that has a screen, you're going to get an alert. It says it's all going down. It says the nukes are headed the way, and the nukes are headed your way. You got an hour or whatever. Death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. So all throughout the scriptures, you read about this final judgment. All right. So I'm gonna keep reading through verse 11 just so we can understand this. All right. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, or America's allies, I should say, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, right? Because everybody's going to be able to see it. All this country is going to be turned into that lake of fire, that lake of nuclear fire. That radiation is going to burn over here forever. All right. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. You see that right there? So the book of Isaiah said a moment in a day. It's a specific moment when things are going to go down. And right here in Revelation, it said it's going to be a specific hour and it's going to be a specific day. All right. So again, on that day, you may wake up thinking, everything's fine. I'm going to work and all that kind of stuff. And then boom, you get that alert. You have 1 hour before the nukes get here. Hey, nukes are coming from all over. We can't stop all of them. You have an hour. That's what it's going to say. All right. And then people are going to panic, and we're going to know it's that great day of judgment. All right. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. There you go. The businesses, the worldwide corporations are going to be like, no, that's the end of America. That's where all my money was. For no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Then it goes into all the different merchandise that people sell, aka stock, aka trade shipments, all that. So I want to end it out, or close it out rather. I want to close it out with Revelation 16 because it kind of ties everything together. Revelation 16, start with 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. All right. So the 3 unclean spirits is the out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false prophet. All right. So it said like frogs, they just jump out, right? They're just all the time just jumping out. Frogs jump around quickly. That's how these unclean spirits are coming out of the mouth of dragon, being the devil, or rather the European colonies that turned into those European countries, the 10 common markets. The beast, that second beast, is America itself. The false prophet is the Christianity that is here, because they speak the name of Jesus. Remember what Jesus said: many would come in his name and deceive many. All right. The false prophet, for they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. All right, so working miracles, the miracles of modern science is what they say. All the tech, or at least overwhelming majority of the technology that we use today, was developed by the American Department of Defense, but also from Silicon Valley in California. All right. So that's the working miracles. All right. The miracles of modern science. That's a phrase that people use today. And it's all leading up. everything is leading up to that great day of judgment, that World War III, and then that judgment of God. That's what's going to end World War III, is that judgment day. All right, you're going to have World War III. You're going to have people with boots on the ground in the Middle East. Absolutely. All right, but that great day of judgment, when all them nukes hit, that's what it's all culminating towards. All right, behold, I come as a thief. That's Christ. He's coming like a thief in the night, meaning nobody expects the thief to come when they come. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, meaning his holy and pure garments, his white garments. All right. Again, that's metaphorical for righteousness. Lest he walk naked and they see his shame. All right. The same way that Aaron made the people naked when he built the golden calf for them, that was the shame. That was the sin. That's what it's talking about. Lest they walk in sin. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, aka that's the valley of Megiddo, the valley of decision, the valley of Jezreel. It's called all different things, but that's what it's going into. It's right there on the northern border of the West Bank in the state of Israel. That's what it's going into. All right.